Okay, what we're going to do is going to look at some vintage psychedelic postcards and handbills that were patterned off of the original concert posters. So we'll be looking at some art from the Fillmore, the Avalon Ballroom, Winterland, and Family Dog. I'm going to show half of my collection today. You'll see the other half next week. And I thought it would be fun to actually show the current album that the band had out at the time of the concert. And I checked dates online, so this is going to be very accurate. So the first one we're going to look at is a handbill, and it's New Year's Eve Bash 1966 at the Fillmore. On the bill was Quicksilver Messenger Service, the Grateful Dead, and the Jefferson Airplane. Just a beautiful card with metallic ink that kind of has a hypnotic effect there. And it's blank on the back, so it is a handbill. And so only the Jefferson Airplane had an album out at the time of this concert. And they were supporting the first album, Jefferson Airplane Takes Off. This is another handbill, and it's the 13th floor elevators, the Great Society, and the Sopwith Camel, the Fillmore. And notice they spelled elevators wrong. That band was pretty much unknown in the San Francisco area, and they didn't have any records out at the time either, so they were still in the process of recording their first album. So local favorites, Great Society, backed them up, along with Sopwith Camel. And there's a nice picture of Grace there. Blank on the back indicates handbill. And I also have the postcard version of this, which is just a slightly shorter than the handbill. This next one, it was done by one of my favorite poster artists, Lee Conklin. And he liked to incorporate human body parts into his artwork. And he's very famous for doing the first Santana album cover with the lion and the lady. So yeah, this is pretty cool because it features the Yardbirds, and they had Jimmy Page with them at the time. And backing them up was It's a Beautiful Day. And this is a handbill with upcoming events on the back. So this is from May of 1968. Now, since It's a Beautiful Day didn't have an album out at the time, they were featured on this 1968 compilation on the San Francisco Sound label, and it featured local San Francisco bands. All this material is exclusive to this album. It has early versions of Bulgaria and Aquarian Dream by It's a Beautiful Day. They would later re-record those for their first album. So this is, from what I understand, the first pressing with the black and white cover. Second pressings had the green color cover. And the Yardbirds were promoting this album, Little Games. Here's another handbill, and it's for the opening of the Fillmore Summer Series, 1967. So we had Jimi Hendrix Experience and Jefferson Airplane. This is some of the events that would be happening soon, and it looks like it was stapled on maybe a telephone pole at one time, and there's also some tape residue. So it was definitely used for advertising purposes, probably. Now, Hendrix had just released his first album at the time of this gig. Are You Experienced? And the headliner was Jefferson Airplane, and they were supporting this album, Surrealistic Pillow. The next one is a postcard, Fillmore again, and on the bill was the Butterfield Blues Band, Charles Lloyd Quartet, and Ultimate Spinach from January of 1968. Now, Ultimate Spinach had just released their first album. And this is it right here. This next one is unusual, as it's a double postcard that was actually mailed out. So we got The Who and the Vagrants. And this is another Lee Conklin artwork poster with the butterfly ears. And on the back we have some blues going on. It opens up, and this one was actually mailed out to somebody in Berkeley, California. This is the album that the Who were promoting, Sellout. Now, the Vagrants never had an album, but they did put out quite a few 45s. This next one's another Lee Conklin, and it's the Buffalo Springfield, Chambers Brothers, and Richie Havens. And look at those feet with the heads, very cool. So not only was it the Fillmore, they were playing the Winterland too. Now, this concert may have happened. This was from May of 1968, but it didn't happen with the Buffalo Springfield because the Buffalo Springfield broke up 2 weeks prior to this gig. So this is the album that the Chambers Brothers had at the time. And this is the album that the Buffalo Springfield had at the time. Okay, this is Avalon Ballroom, New Year's Eve 1967. So it's 1967, 1968. And it's Blue Cheer and Country Joe and the Fish. This is the album that Country Joe and the Fish had out at the time. Feel Like I'm Fixin' to Die. This is another Avalon Quicksilver Messenger Service, and it's May of 1968, and look at that, Flamin' Groovies was on the bill. And May of 68 is also the month that the first Quicksilver Messenger Service album came out. Here's Avalon Ballroom, Quicksilver Messenger Service, and Howling Wolf, July of '68. Here's another Quicksilver from August of '68, Avalon Ballroom. This is Pink Floyd at the Avalon Ballroom, August of 1968. And the Pink Floyd were supporting this album, Saucer Full of Secrets. Okay, one more, and this is a handbill, and it's for the Winterland Arena in San Francisco, the Mothers Family Dog Revival, and it says guest evangelist Peter Albin of Big Brother and the Holding Company. Also Pacific Gas and Electric was there, as well as Jerry Abrams. And some information on the back. Try and get it. Hopefully you can read it. You can freeze frame it. So this gig happened right between Reuben and the Jets and Uncle Meat. So I don't have Reuben and the Jets, so I can't show that album to you. Alright, that's gonna do it for the showing. And yeah, I collected all these about 10 years ago online, and I wouldn't mind picking up a few more. I mean, there's still a few that I was on my want list back then and I never got them, so maybe I'll pick them up. We'll see. Yeah, a lot of these are kind of in the price range of $10 a piece, $20, $25 a piece, depending on, you know, obviously rarity, condition, if it's a handbill or if it's a postcard. Some of them can get pretty pricey, but it's a cheap alternative to getting the poster art rather than collecting all the posters. And plus, it's just the collectability factor is a lot more convenient. So that's gonna do it, and hope you enjoyed it, and see you next video later. Bye.